We'll see how it goes. We'll
I
fix
just
it in
want to be
post.
monitoring. Man, I recently read a post. Somebody was complaining on LinkedIn about how there's this culture in the film industry of we'll fix it in post, which I think that there are instances where that is totally appropriate because there are things that are literally designed to be done in post. But she was making this case that it was essentially justifying not doing pre-production because you just show up, wing it, and then a bunch of things go wrong. So you're like, I guess we'll just fix it in post.
Yeah, I mean that's the famous line, right? Fix it in post. And I do think part of that too is to just keep pushing forward. I was listening to I don't remember the gentleman's name, but there's a guy who's a screenwriter. I think I sent you a couple of his reels because it was really interesting, and he was talking about how nothing is ever perfect, and it's very hard to break from the idea of perfection, especially when something is your baby and it's your passion, and you're trying to really make it its best thing, and you can get so inundated on having something perfect that you never get anything done in general. So I think that the let's fix it in post may have spawned from the idea of like, look, it's not perfect right now, but like we have to keep moving forward. This way we can actually do something with this, and hopefully we'll come back around and make it better. But it
Sure.
has seemed to digress into just, we'll fix it in post. Just
It's
keep
just
going.
like a catch-all solution,
Yeah.
which is not true. So for all you young filmmakers out there, not an effective strategy. It's just not
It,
don't.
it's a funny gag though, so
It
by all
is.
means
It is.
keep saying it, with real tongue in cheek because it's always
I was
funny.
on set one time and the editor so sometimes on some sets, especially on indie sets, the DEI guy is also the person who ends up being the editor in post production, and that's just because when you have a small team, people have to wear multiple hats. So I was on this set one time, and the DEI slash editor, he shows up to set one day after a particularly rocky film day where a lot of things went wrong, and he had a shirt that literally said, "We'll fix it in post."
That's good. It's not as good as Let's Bring Crispy Back, which I do think at some point I'm going to look into making into a T-shirt just because I want
We
it.
should definitely we got to set up a merch shop somewhere. But yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. And that and it's a tech problem.
it's a tech problem,
Sounds like a
and
tech problem.
and there was something else with it. Like I watch movies with people in them. Something
Oh
there was something
yeah.
else. There, there's been a lot of weird quotes in here, but yeah. Welcome to the cast, Backstage Banter. I'm one of your hosts, Jason Saris,
I'm Morgan Elgarden.
and we are recording this right now pretty close to Thanksgiving. It's wild
Indeed.
to me that this year has gone as fast as it has. And I know that's cliche to say, but this year has seriously just blown by. I'm astounded. Um, you,
There is an actual we're filmmakers. We're about to get into the science of this, but there is actually a geological reason or like an astrological reason for why some years feel faster than other years, and it has something to do with where we are in our galactic travel, where we are in our galactic orbit, in conjunction with how fast the planet spins and rotates around the sun. So there's actually a scientific reason for why
there's
some years
also
feel.
just, as you get older, you perceive time differently because
This
the
is true.
the timeline has been stretched out. So when you're a kid and you've only known, you start developing long-term memories. I think around, what is it, age of 2 or 3. So let's say you're 5 years old and you only have 2 3 years worth of memories. It's a very short window because everything feels very long because that's all you've known is just a very short amount of time. So everything in relation, yeah, feels much different than as you're older. So like certain events feel smaller, and even though as a kid, looking forward looks long, and as an adult, looking backward looks feels short. Because of that perspective, it makes the passing of time feel different, and that's a real thing too. So it also doesn't
Yeah.
help that I'm just getting old as dirt at this point. So that makes time feel like it's going by further or faster rather, just because that's what
That's
happens in life.
interesting. I would think it would be like the opposite because maybe I'm still on the other end of it where I'm still like I don't know because I'm younger than you. So like maybe I'm still feeling like the stretching effect of time. But yeah, that's interesting. You would think it would be the opposite.
But I was going to ask you for Thanksgiving, do you do anything in particular for Thanksgiving? Do you go home for the holiday? Or you're home now, I think, but do you have any kind of
Well,
traditions or things that you do?
yeah, up until quite recently, and I mean, I guess this gets into more personal stuff, but up until like very recently, we would all gather at my grandma's house. And and by we, I mean like my sort of extended family. So it's my mom's mom, and we would all go. So it would be me and my uncles on my mom's side and their families. So we would all gather at my grandmother's house, and it was like I don't know, 20 or 25 of us. And that would be our sort of Thanksgiving tradition. And Thanksgiving in my family, it was like a it was like a bigger holiday, I guess, because that's when the whole family would get together. Because then during Christmas, everybody would sort of gather at the other side of the family's like respective whatever, like whatever you would do with the other side of your family. Like that was, I guess, the trade off that just worked out for everybody in the family.
Sure.
So Thanksgiving was big on my mom's side for that reason, and I don't know if anybody else does this, but I started noticing this when I was quite young, which is for whatever reason, Harry Potter is the movie marathon that always plays every Thanksgiving. So we would all be at my grandma's house and we'd be eating and chatting and Harry Potter would be on TV on the background. And
Nice.
me being a film person, me loving films, and I've loved films since I was young. I didn't decide to get into entertainment until much later, but I've loved films since I was young. I'd be the one kid who is sitting on the couch just watching the movies, even though I'd seen them like 100
Sure.
times.
They're good. They're great movies, and Harry Potter does. There is I forget which installment, but there's a significant portion of it that takes place at Christmas time. So
Mm.
a lot of people think of them around the holidays, and that's kind of where I was going with this actually, because holidays are coming, and everybody knows there's a ton of holiday movies. We just got out of the Halloween season, obviously a lot of Halloween movies. Thanksgiving seems like it's overlooked. There's not a ton of Thanksgiving films, at least not that I can think of. I don't know if you can. Are you familiar with any Thanksgiving movies?
I mean, I feel like Hallmark probably, if I had to take a guess, I feel like Hallmark probably has something that's Thanksgiving oriented, where like somebody comes home for Thanksgiving or something to that
Sure.
variety. But I think it's interesting that you point this out because Adam Sandler is such a jewel in the industry because he has sort of clocked that there are certain holidays that are sort of forgotten about.
Mhm.
And he has written like songs for those forgotten holidays. His most famous one, I think, is his Hanukkah song, where he's like, why isn't
Tell
there
your
anything
friend
celebrating
Veronica. Yeah.
Hanukkah? Yeah, so he did that. I believe, I'm not 100% sure. I wish I knew about this ahead of time because then I would have looked it up. But I think he has a Thanksgiving song.
Oh,
And I think
really?
he has an
Oh, I
Easter
didn't know that.
song. Yeah, and I think he has an Easter song.
Interesting.
Like I love Adam Sandler. He's so he I don't know. So yeah, I
I
think that there's probably some Thanksgiving things, but it's definitely not like there's that whole thing where like Christmas essentially starts on November 1st. So it just doesn't leave opportunity for Thanksgiving, which I think is a real shame because I think that we're sort of losing what Thanksgiving is supposed to mean. And I guess
Sure.
Christmas also means it, which is like time with family and slowing down and enjoying life, and being appreciative of what you have. But that's
Sure.
really kind of supposed to be Thanksgiving. Like it's literally Thanksgiving. Um, and I just think that that's being lost, especially with how commercialized Christmas is becoming. Christmas, I don't think, really is about family anymore. Christmas is about who can buy the biggest and best presents to flex the hardest. I really
Yeah,
don't
I
think
don't
Christmas
know.
is about family.
I don't know that I don't know that I get your point. I understand why you would think that, and maybe some of this will come up when we do a Christmas episode. But I think that people show appreciation and affection for others in different ways, and sometimes that's through physical gifts, which certainly isn't a requirement for showing appreciation. And uh, people have lots of other methods. But I know, and maybe this is because I'm a father and I have children, but I love seeing the look of my kid open up something that they didn't even know that it was on my radar, like something that they wanted and they don't. My daughter is a very humble child, and you ask her, what is it that you want for Christmas this year, and she won't. She'll say, I don't need much. Like I just want to, hang out together, or maybe we could play games, or whatever. And obviously she's a kid. I'm gonna get her a present. So you get her something that I love to give gifts that people don't ask me for. Like I don't ask people for lists because I think it's a sign of affection that you know somebody so well that you can pick something for them that is something that they would want. And sometimes that's harder than other times, and it depends on the relationship. But I love gift giving, and I try really hard to get the people that I give gifts to something that is meaningful to them. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's an expensive gift. It doesn't mean it's a certain type of thing, but I think that it's a sign of like, yeah, I do know you. We have a good relationship, and I can give this to you. So I do think that there is a buying element to Christmas, of course, but I think it's how you intend it. And if it's just what can I swipe at the store that's going to cost money because that'll be impressive, then you're right. But I don't think that's exclusive. But to tie this back to Thanksgiving, because you're right, the holiday is supposed to be about giving thanks and that sort of thing. I think the difference of why we don't see as many movies for Thanksgiving is because Christmas is a season where,
It's
and
not though.
Halloween is like a season.
It's not though.
It is though. I mean, it's not. It's not. I mean, it's supposed
It's
to be a
not though.
day,
Like
but we
Halloween,
celebrate it
Halloween
for a
is
whole
October
season.
31st. It's well,
Correct.
I'm
But we
like
celebrate stuff the whole season. People can nobody starts, celebrating Thanksgiving season. Maybe you put some fall stuff out or whatever, but and I think that's the big difference is that everyone looks at Thanksgiving as a day, but they look at a lot of other holidays as like a time of year, and maybe that has something to do with it. I was
I
trying
mean
to
like
think of
yeah.
of Thanksgiving movies, and I was coming up pretty short. I could think of the Charlie Brown cartoon classic from like the '70s. Does that count?
Oh, I mean like I haven't seen it in a minute, so I'm not entirely sure about like the content or context. But I mean like if it's Thanksgiving themed, I would imagine that that's a win in any
Yeah, I just don't think
regard
it's
because it's
it's
sort of
not
like
feature length. It was like a
it's
television special.
I mean, like I guess, but I mean, by a similar sort of logic, like Die Hard is a Christmas movie,
Oh, don't get me
so
started. So, and maybe we should talk about this too. This will probably also come up when we do a Christmas episode. But my hot take is that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, and people want to fight me on it all the time. But it is just a movie that takes place at Christmas. You can take that scenario. Yes, he's going home to see his wife for Christmas, whatever. But you could take that scenario and apply it to any other time of year, and the movie still works the same. So
yeah,
I think in order to be a Thanksgiving movie, you can't just say, well, the movie takes place around Thanksgiving.
sure,
Like the Adams Family Values. Have you seen that? I think it was
no,
mid '90s. Um, you're aware that that was a movie, though, right? The Adams Family Values. It was the sequel to the original Adams Family movie.
sure,
Okay, so Tim Burton. I think it was a Tim Burton movie. He did Adams Family, and then he did a sequel. There is a
hmm
scene in there because it takes place in the fall where Wednesday and Pugsley they go to camp, and Wednesday has to write a scene for for some kind of Thanksgiving play that they're doing. And she creates this gory, bloody scene where all the Indians or all the pilgrims start dying of dysentery, and the Native Americans are all. It's something really bizarre, and like there's a Thanksgiving whole scene in there. I don't consider it a Thanksgiving movie. Like it just happens to have Thanksgiving referenced. So Die Hard, same kind
So
of thing. It doesn't really have
I
anything to do
think
with the
that
plot.
I don't know that I necessarily disagree with you, but this is sort of my argument about why a holiday is a day, not a season, and will never be a season. A holiday takes place in a season and always will take place in a season. That's just an empirical fact. But you can't make Christmas, by virtue of being in winter, a seasonal holiday. Just like you can't make Halloween, by virtue of the fact that it happens in autumn, a fall holiday. And I think that that does beg the question of how do you make a Christmas or Thanksgiving or a Halloween movie? Because I think that you're poking at the very fragile nature of holiday films, which is that the premise typically is that it takes place during that season. Christmas has the added benefit of having a built-in rubric because it is supposed to be about family and appreciation and all those warm, fuzzy things. So I guess the question would be, what would a Thanksgiving movie be about if it cannot be about the fact that it takes place on Thanksgiving?
So I'm sure a movie exists, and I wish I could think of one, but I'm sure that there's some sort of movie where people come home for Thanksgiving and there's some kind of awkward tension between our protagonist and a family member, or it's awkward being at home with family in general. Like that seems like a thing that could happen, I would assume, and that would center around Thanksgiving, and I would consider that a Thanksgiving movie. If you were to take, just a film that a bunch of events happen, like there's a bank robbery that takes place on Thanksgiving Day, unless being Thanksgiving is an important part of how that story unfolds, that's just the setting. That's not the theme of the movie, and I think it requires the theme to be centered around the holiday to classify it as that type of movie.
Again, I think you're poking at the very fragile nature of holiday
I
movies.
I am, and that's why. So I thought might be fun, since I guess to give the audience background, if they're just tuning in this week. Morgan and I worked together on several projects. We worked together originally on a project randomly. That's how we met. We decided we wanted to do more things together, so we've been working on several projects throughout our time knowing each other, and one of which was writing and producing our own series. So we hope that that will release next year sometime. But we have had a little bit experience in creating a show and building a script and the story, all that stuff. It maybe we can workshop some sort of Thanksgiving movie. And I mean, nothing we
Well,
would actually sit down and produce, but just kind of walk people through the process of how do stories get made, and what are the things that you consider while we're putting something together, and who knows, might end up so silly that somebody takes it and runs with it.
yeah, so I mean, for anybody who is actually interested in the behind the scenes of it, which, I feel like is one of the reasons that we even started the podcast, was to kind of let people behind the curtain a little bit. Everything starts as an idea, right? So before you even get to the writer's room and are breaking the story, you have to brainstorm an idea. You have to come up with something with some loose outline or some loose storyboard that you can then go to a group of writers and be like, okay, let's flush this out. And I guess I'm now using lingo and terminology that maybe people aren't familiar with, but breaking a story is literally figuring out what happens when in a story. But I mean, first you have to figure out what the story is. You have to
Right.
create a pitch for a story before you can even get to that step.
Yeah, so I guess if we
So,
were going to, play around with this, we would need to spitball some concepts and see if we can create a log line on it. So we would want to just make some general ideas and then say, here's the concept of what we are trying to put together, and then you kind of flush that out. So I don't know. Do you have any for concepts? You normally want to put two things in contrast that have to be together because that creates for a dynamic that is suitable for a story. I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of conflicting ideologies that could happen centered around Thanksgiving. And for some reason, and this is just one idea, we don't have to run with this, but for some reason, my brain keeps going to a turkey and a butcher. Like maybe it's like a turkey and a butcher have to be in like a buddy team up movie. like, and
Wow.
part of me kind of wants the turkey to be like an
Comedy.
anthropomorphic.
So it's a comedy.
like it's just one idea. That's just the first thing that popped into my head. We're spitballing here because I don't know where we would go from there. But I think it would be amusing that a butcher and a turkey need to be pals for 90 minutes.
Well, okay, so this is what I would ask is if the goal is to write a Thanksgiving movie in the same way that I feel like Hallmark sits down and is like, okay, so this year for Christmas, what are we doing? We would have to first establish what, in the same way that you would have to establish a mood board or like a color palette for like a painting, I guess, or like a shot list. I guess we would have to settle on some themes that would need to be present that would make it a Thanksgiving movie. So I guess for
Sure.
Jason, that means butchers and turkeys. Um,
well, well, you can certainly apply themes. I'm not even getting to the theme part, and part of this process is like there's not always a specific chronological order that you follow. Because Morgan's right, a lot of times you lead theme first, where you want to tell the story of this type of thing, and then you figure out how to fit the pieces into that. So maybe I'm going about it backwards, but we can certainly apply a
I
Thanksgiving
just think
theme. I mean,
I just
Thanksgiving
think
is
that's
the
I just think that's hilarious though, because if you, to your point though, if you take Die Hard and you put it in a different setting, meaning it wasn't
Mhm.
taking place during Christmas, the movie would still work, right? So I feel
Right.
like just having a butcher and a turkey have to buddy up doesn't by nature make it Thanksgiving themed.
You're right.
I
You're
think that
right. Yeah.
people's minds would go there, but I
So
don't think.
so a story needs characters, right? Which we would have our butcher and our turkey. You know, if
Yeah.
we're running with this idea, we have our characters. You need a setting, so the setting would be taking place obviously in the fall, on or around Thanksgiving. So we check that box there. Now we need, we obviously need some sort of plot, story that they're going to be told. And I think where you're coming into the idea of themes is something that needs to relate to the holiday. So if Thanksgiving is obviously about the idea of being grateful or appreciative or whatnot, there should be some sort of theme centered around that idea to make sure that it all comes through as a Thanksgiving movie. Like I think
Here's
I
an
think you're right.
idea.
It can't just be, hey, here's two elements that are visually representative of Thanksgiving. Now it's a Thanksgiving movie. We could do a little better than that.
I'm gonna throw some spaghetti at the wall and you let me know if any of this sticks. What
Please
if
spaghetti it
you'll
up. Yeah, let's do it.
somebody contact Michael Keaton?
Nobody's gonna
Um,
get that joke, but it's
nobody's
good
gonna.
for
It's for
us.
the benefit of you. We're just two guys in a room, right? And some
Tag
people
Michael
happen
Keaton,
to
see if
be.
he asks us what that means.
Um, what if this turkey is trying to get revenge on the butcher who
Okay.
butchered his family and enlists the help of a ham butcher?
Okay. Okay. So instead of
So
them
you
buddying up together, we're having it where there's one's our protagonist and the other one's our antagonist. Now,
just to
okay, so going
justify why a turkey would be buddying up with a butcher. You know what I mean? Like what would the reason be for a turkey to buddy up with a butcher? And it's because only a butcher knows a butcher. It's like spy v spy.
I see what you're saying. See, I was thinking, I think originally, if Thanksgiving is in peril for some reason, people aren't showing
Okay.
appreciation, or maybe there's. It depends on how wacky we want to get with it. Let's say, so what's a reason why Thanksgiving could be derailed? Why you would not be able to celebrate Thanksgiving on the day?
You're
We could be
homeless.
talking power outages. We could be talking, some sort of other world-ending event. I mean, if we're gonna get super silly with it, what if there's an asteroid coming for a town, and
Hmm.
only the butcher and his turkey know about it, and the two of them have to work together to stop the asteroid?
So it's like a save Thanksgiving kind of thing. So directly stealing from Christmas and Santa Claus.
I mean, it's a classic movie trope, right? You got to save the day.
I
So
actually like the idea of a turkey having to save Thanksgiving because it's to some degree just absurd by nature. Because
right, yeah.
if the turkey successfully saves Thanksgiving, he's condemning his species, right? Like what a moral quandary for a turkey.
But that's what makes it interesting. Like I was saying, concepts you want to try to put opposing, conflicting
So
ideologies together.
what
So
would be
if
the
the
reason
idea
then?
normally,
What would be the reason then that the turkey feels obligated to save Thanksgiving? Because not saving Thanksgiving is a very easy choice.
yeah, so not saving Thanksgiving obviously would give him a prolonged life, but maybe saving Thanksgiving makes him feel like he has purpose. It could be a story of finding self worth or story of destiny. Maybe he thinks it's
Hmm.
his destiny that he has to fulfill this role in society, and maybe he thinks it's a great honor. Maybe there's a bunch of turkeys and they're all vying for a position to be the one that gets selected this year because they find it very honorable to be the one that's picked for Thanksgiving dinner. And now the problem is that something is preventing Thanksgiving from happening. The turkey needs to work with the butcher to put things back on the tracks. This way he can, fulfill his lifelong dream of being that main focus of dinner.
That's an interesting idea. I'm not
it's
sure I'm on board
it's an
because it's
idea.
kind
I
of
don't know if
hokey.
that's interesting. Oh, it was super hokey. Have you seen
Uh,
Christmas movies before? I mean, holiday movies are usually pretty hokey.
yeah, but well, there are some holiday movies like The Polar Express I would point to as a very successful holiday movie.
I Success doesn't necessarily mean not hokey, but fine. Point taken.
Do you
I
think, wait,
will.
hold on. Do you think The Polar Express is hokey?
No, I mean, other than being, I guess that's not hokey. It is an uncanny valley nightmare. I mean, like a lot of the models of that thing are horrific to look at it by today's standards.
Yeah,
I
but the
don't.
story, strip those aspects away because obviously that's a tech problem.
That's a
The
tech problem.
story, the
Yeah, no,
story is a good story.
I agree with this story, but I'm just saying that those things aren't mutually exclusive, or they aren't. I forget the way you worded it originally, but they're not linked together. Just because a story is hokey or not hokey does not define whether or not it's good or bad. There are plenty of good hokey stories, and there are plenty of bad non-hokey stories.
Right. So, but what I'm asking is your perspective that The Polar Express is a good hokey film or it's a
No,
good non-hokey film?
I think the Polar Express is a fine movie. My point was because you said, "Oh, I'll give you a." You made some kind of comment about hokiness and something being good, and I was saying that just because it's good doesn't mean it's not hokey, because you can have a good hokey movie.
Right. Well, so does the Polar Express fall into that category? Is the Polar
No, I
Express
don't
a
think it's
hokey
hokey.
movie?
No, no,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think.
So
No,
me
I was just
pointing
throwing that
to
out there
it.
because I was defending the idea of the Thanksgiving movie being hokey. It can be hokey and still be interesting.
Yes, I agree, but I think that it is more challenging to make it good if we
I
are already starting from the premise that it's hokey.
I just think you have a soft spot for Polar Express and you wanted to defend it and you thought I was attacking it. That's what I think.
No, I'm saying that if you I think that we should attempt to make a non-hokey Thanksgiving film because if it's
Good. Yeah,
hokey, it has
that's
a higher percent chance of being bad.
we're workshopping here. There's no idea is a bad idea. I'm just my brain just went to that scenario, but that doesn't mean.
That's another
I mean,
thing that
there's
I
lots
think
of
that
them.
I would actually like to just elucidate for the audience, which is as far as brainstorming, there really is no bad idea. The only bad idea is the idea not said. So you got to say everything. You have to explore everything because we're going to continue on this road. And maybe we do find a non-hokey way to do turkey sacrificial Thanksgiving movie. Um, but we'll see. The only way we find out is by being like, okay, so then for what reason are the turkeys offering themselves up as turkey dinner?
So I gotta tell you, because I think it's on brand now, and I'm struggling to remember what the name of the movie is, but David Harbour is in a Christmas movie. I think it's called Violent Night. I'm looking it up now. It is, in fact, called Violent
Oh,
Night.
yeah.
So David Harbour is in a Christmas movie called Violent Night where he plays Santa Claus. But in this
Yep.
scenario, he is like a Nordic
Yep.
Viking
Yep.
that's
Me and
like
my brother watched
transcends
that.
time. And dude, that movie is not
I
only
saw Violent Night. That's our next.
fantastic. That's I'm I'm so proud of you because that movie is not only just amazing for the ridiculous ride that it is, but it's actually a good Christmas movie too. Like it actually has heart and
Yeah.
soul. And I went into that not expecting any of it. I'm watching this thing. I
Very
went for
good.
the kills. I wanted the gore. I just wanted the
Yeah.
ridiculous premise, and I actually
Yeah.
it gave me feels. So I bring it up because just being hokey or just being eccentric does not exclude you from also having a good story to tell. It's just a vessel, and how you execute that vessel makes the difference on whether or not the story works. So you could take the most ridiculous premise. I mean, somebody said, let's make a story about toys that come to life, which you would think would be a ridiculous premise. But Toy Story
Sure.
has, what, five, six installments now? And most of those are fantastic.
It's certainly, I think that the defining feature between a hokey and a non-hokey film or story or any project is how seriously you take it. So I think that if we're gonna go in the direction of turkey sacrificial Thanksgiving movie, then we have to start from the premise of this is not hokey. How do we approach this from a genuine, authentic place of curiosity? So, my first question would be why are the turkeys, why is this such an honor for the turkeys? Because if you don't justify that, then the premise falls apart, I think.
Okay. So let's all right, I'm getting a vision in my head. I'm playing this out like we're going to the theater to watch this on opening day. Scene opens, movie starts where maybe we're on a farm, we're in the turkey pen or whatever turkeys stay in, and there's a
I'm gonna
bunch of
have I'm gonna
small,
have like the script on screen typing out as you're narrating this.
yeah. But let's say we're on a farm. There's some kids
Exterior
that are hanging
farm.
out. Scene one, exterior farm, morning or evening. I don't know. We'll figure it out in post. Um, but let's say there's some kids. They're hanging out in the turkey pen, and their father is reading them a bedtime story or some sort of book about Thanksgiving, and when it's really making a big deal about the glorious turkey that lay upon the table for their beautiful Thanksgiving dinner or whatever. And all the little turkeys are, within earshot. And the kid is like, wow, are we going to have a turkey on Thanksgiving too, Dad? I mean, I feel like there's something there where you kind of build up, they've heard this story passed down to the farmer's kid down to the farm they live on. They think it's this big deal to be the turkey that gets to make that child think that maybe there's something that could be the catalyst for why they grow up to big turkeys, thinking that that's an honor for them to go on and see.
I I definitely I love the imagery and I like the frame. I always love the framework of a bedtime story or some sort of like storybook. Here is the myth. Um, I'm still
I
sort of left with the question though of like
I think my brain just wants to make this hokey and ridiculous, and I think that's the problem because every scenario
okay,
that I think of is getting. And I'm not saying to go that route. I'm just
no
saying
no no,
that I think that
let's go
that's
that
where my
route
headspace is
though.
because
But let's go that
even
route. Let's
even while we're talking about this now, I'm like in my head, I'm asking questions like, what are the turkeys' names? Do they talk to each other? Like, can they? I mean,
You know
did you
what
ever
I'm
see
thinking
Babe
though?
as a kid with the pig or
Yeah,
Charlotte's Web?
yeah,
Where they can talk to each other.
yeah.
Why couldn't we
I'm
have turkeys like, you know?
I'm thinking though now like a chicken run type of thing
Okay,
where like
yeah,
you just lean into the fact that it is an absurd premise and it is a comedy.
yeah.
I feel like this is going to be a comedy. I don't think that
I
there's
mean,
another way to do this.
which is where I'm gravitating towards too. But I mean, we were talking a couple episodes ago about how comedies are dead. Maybe this is the way you resurrect it with a,
Thanks
a strong
holiday themed Thanksgiving comedies.
about a turkey and a butcher teaming up to save Thanksgiving. Um, Crazier things have happened.
It's true. So what if ooh, I kind of want to scrap everything we just said.
Let's do it. Let's scrap it. I don't even care.
What if, what if Santa is, to your point, because Christmas has become a season, so what if Santa is trying to expand Christmas and is going to envelop Thanksgiving? So this turkey and butcher have to team up in order to save and preserve the idea of Thanksgiving from Christmas and like
Dude, I
Jack
love it.
Frost and Santa Claus.
Dude, I love this. Okay, uh, let's let's strike the scene idea that I said earlier. How about instead we open on like a big we open on a dark portion of the North Pole. Okay, it's evening time and it's like an ice palace, like a very sinister looking ice palace. And inside we open to a long table where all of the I guess mascots for holidays have come together for a meeting, and Santa Claus is leading the meeting where he's talking statistics and numbers, and he's pushing how he's doing big business. There's growing opportunities, and the solution is to expand the Christmas season, and he wants to bump it up. He can't take away from New Year's, so he wants to bump it up to start mid-November. And the giant turkey is there as the representative for Thanksgiving. He obviously opposes it, and he gets outvoted by the rest of the
Wait, wait,
holiday
wait.
mascots.
I wanna pause you because I get where you're going with this like council of mythical holiday beings, but
Sure.
I actually want to frame it a little bit differently. What do you think of this? What do you think if like Santa is has like a secret meeting with like
Okay.
him and his head elves, and I mean like obviously we would have to work out the dialogue of what this means. That takes
Yeah.
place during breaking the episode and like figuring stuff out and then like entering the writing process. But so he's having this meeting and one of the Arctic creatures hears about it. And then we go on this someone montage of these animals sort of passing the message along, and it finds its way to a turkey somewhere in North America. And for whatever reason, I'm picturing like Rambo turkey. And he's like, absolutely not. Thanksgiving will not succumb to Christmas. So he calls his butcher buddy, who's been out of the game for like a decade.
It's like a John Wick. It's like a John Wick satire.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love it. I love it. Yes, I love it. Yeah. So I still think that at some point in the film we have Santa colluding with another holiday mascot. Somebody else. I don't know, like who
I
could be
think
another evil one, like the
what
Easter
if
Bunny or something.
what if he's colluding with Father Time and it's not that Father Time is evil so much as Santa Claus is trying to pull the wool over Father Time's eyes and like give Christmas more time, so to speak, you know? And Father Time doesn't realize that it would eclipse Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving would lose its time. Like, what if it was something like that? Like, what if that was the
I'm on
grand
board.
master plan?
As long as I mean, if we're doing, and I say we're doing like we're actually putting this together, which we're not, but
I
who
kind of
knows? Maybe
want to
down the road.
now.
Maybe who knows? We can at least make a short out of it, maybe. But if we're doing an idea where it's like a turkey Rambo situation, The end of this movie has got to be the turkey showing up at the North Pole with a minigun or some kind of crazy and just annihilating people. I'm talking like this is not a children's movie. This is a in the vein of Violent Night type of thing where it's just a bloody massacre to film to end the film.
I mean, I would definitely
I
like
mean,
to see.
over the top. We're talking grenades. Maybe he's
I
calling
would.
in airstrikes. He
I
bands
kind of.
together with the other holidays. I don't know.
I'm kind of with it. I'm kind of with it. I kind of want that too. But I would. I personally, and again, these are things that you have to kind of tackle as
Yeah.
producer writer, which is what demographic are you going to try and target, and are certain elements okay for the demographic that you want to target. So I'm totally on board for all of that, but I would want to do it without any of the blood or gore because I think that this will be best suited targeted at a younger audience. Um,
So I
so
think it would
I think that
depend,
you can
and
have all of that just without any of the blood.
I think it would depend on what kind of, if we were really doing this, it would ultimately depend on what kind of budget we're putting into it. Because I do think that there is a market for this type of movie being like a hard R just because it's so absurd that people would watch it. But you do cut out a significant portion of the audience. So
Well,
if you're working with a bigger budget, you want to include as many potential viewers as possible, which is why a lot of these movies get backed off from R and turn into PG-13. This way kids can still come see them. If you are working with a small budget and you're like, nope, this is a niche project, I just want to fill this space that hasn't been filled before, then you have more room to play with because you don't necessarily need the teens. I would actually be more concerned about putting something in front of younger viewers that could watch it and kind of ruin the illusion of some of these, representatives of holidays, because I'm very cautious about that sort of thing. So if you make it a hard R, at least you're keeping kids away from seeing anything that they might be too young to learn by accident, if that makes sense.
well, I guess I would ask, and maybe this is because I learned the Santa secret earlier on in life, but I gotta be honest, how many like 10-year-olds still actually believe in the Santa secret? I think if you made it
I think a
PG-13,
lot.
you were well in the area of you're not spoiling Santa for that audience.
I
So
disagree. I think I because you're thinking of it as PG-13 means it's 13-year-olds that are going to see it, but PG-13 means you have to be 13 to watch it by yourself.
yeah.
So lots of kids. I mean, I've been taking my kids to PG-13 movies since they were. I don't even. I mean, it depends on the
Yeah,
PG-13
but you
movie.
as the parent have to be there with them. So if you as the parent want to protect your kid from the secret of, or want to protect the secret of Santa, then you just don't go to see that film with your kid. That's the
I
whole point of it.
I don't disagree with you, but I think if you're running trailers for a movie that's featuring lots of holiday mascots, you could very easily get a child that's like, "Wow, mom, dad, can we go see this thing?" And the parents are like, "I don't know what that is." And they're like, "Oh, it's a movie about Santa." Great, let's go. Because I don't think I
Well,
mean
that
my
falls to the parent. I'm gonna be honest, that falls to the parent.
so
uh,
when I was a kid, have you ever seen the movie Mars Attacks?
no.
So Mars Attacks, I actually think you would enjoy it a lot. It's an absurdist comedy. It's based off of a comic book, but it's in the trailer. It's painted kind of like a sci-fi action movie, but it's real kind of over the top and has a lot of tongue in cheek moments and it's not supposed to be taken seriously. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with space. I liked aliens, and the movie is all about these little Martians that come over, and we think that they're friendly and try to befriend them, and then they just attack everybody and wipe them all out. It's got like Pierce Brosnan losing his head and it being put onto a dog and running around, and he's still alive as a dog Pierce Brosnan person. It's got a lot of really bizarre moments. I remember as a kid seeing the trailer and asking to go to the movie theater. And when my parents were like, "Yeah, we'll do movie night," I'm like, "Can we go see this?" And they're like, "Sure, yeah." And Then we all show up, and my parents hated the movie. It's not that it was
Really?
inappropriate for me, but they're like, we would never have gone to this if we would have known what it was. Like, I think that it was mostly over their head, and it was probably over my head at the time too. But for me, I'm just like, silly aliens, yay! But I think that that happens often, especially calling back to another previous episode we have. Trailers are often cut by trailer houses and don't always know the whole story, so they
Sure.
take what they got based on the dailies and they make a trailer that will sell the movie, and sometimes it's a little bit different from what the movie actually is. But I don't think we're making this
I
anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But
I
just food
kind
for
of want
thought.
to make it. I think it does matter, and I think that I I don't think that you're bringing up an unfair criticism. I just think that yes, could we do a better job at elucidating the audience beforehand what they're going to go see? Yeah, we definitely could. But also, shouldn't the parents also have an obligation to do a little bit of digging and be like, is this something that I want my kid to see? Because if you're saying that all a parent has to do is watch a trailer in order to make a decision, that's a very low bar and puts a lot of the onus on someone who honestly shouldn't be shouldering the responsibility. Like, it's parental guidance is advised, which means the onus is on the parent. So yes, do is there an obligation on production studios and production houses to make the information more available, make it more able to be accessed so that parents can make informed decisions? Yeah, I could agree with that point of view. But like, is the correct mode for that information the trailers? I would actually disagree because the trailer is supposed to be designed to get you to go and see the film. So that I think is another can of worms of like what is the correct information delivery mode. So I
Yeah,
I
and
would
I
want to make this.
I think that the whole the rating system that we use too is also really odd for a lot of different reasons, and we should probably break that down at some point, which is probably off topic today. But I don't know. I don't think it's unethical. To your, I mean, to all your points, like I agree with you that it's not like I don't think that it's unethical or it's. I wouldn't go as far as saying that there's some sort of extra responsibility on the parents to do this extra legwork, whatever. And I don't think it's unethical for a studio or a production company to promote a movie to children that maybe whatever. It's just my personal line. Like I would not want to put something in front of kids that could potentially really like they can make whatever the movie they want. And I agree that parents should know what their children are watching, but realistically, not all of them do. And if we're going to protect people, pr- protect children, right? I mean, like just
Yeah.
because they have a parent that's not caring doesn't mean that that child isn't still affected. So if I can make a decision that it's
Yeah,
either
but
going to be
I don't know, that gets
again,
into the slippery slope of like children are children of society instead of children of their parents. And I'm firmly on the side that you are a child of your parents. And I agree, there are shitty parents out there, but that doesn't make it the responsibility of the rest of society to care for that kid.
again,
And that may be a
it's
harsh
my
opinion.
personal line. It's my personal line. You know what I mean? It's just not. I don't think that that obligation is on filmmakers, but it would be my personal line. Again, none of this matters because we're not really doing this, and if we did, we would hash that out down the road. But this was just
I
a
would want
fun
it
thought experiment.
I would want it targeted at kids though, because like I mean, like I guess Violent Night wasn't targeted as kids, and that did do, if I recall correctly, that did do pretty well at the box office.
I think it
But
did, yeah.
I I think that when you're talking about Christmas movies, the question is, what is the purpose of the holiday themed movie? And I think it's typically to either remind you or instill values. And we live in an era where like people make this argument that there isn't such thing as American culture. There absolutely is American culture, and if we made films that sort of propagated that culture, this would be the medium for it. So you make a holiday film, you make a Thanksgiving film about appreciating your family or appreciating the time that it gives you for your family. And obviously, we're not framing it that way. But I think that if we continue to dig into this idea, I would want to find that through line
which is
somewhere, and I would
for
want to
sure.
make it, accessible to kids.
And the thing is, a lot of projects start one way and they take a hard turn. I mean, we talked about before the idea of E.T., which is a family film and a great movie, originally started as a horror movie. That was
Yeah,
originally going to be a bunch of aliens coming to Earth and they were abducting a family, and one alien was a younger one of that species and bonded with one of the kids that lived in that household. And that movie ended up pivoting pretty hard because they found that they liked that better and they pulled that out. And Steven Spielberg wanted to run with that as the whole film versus what it was originally intended to be. So that happens all the time. And you can see it the other way. I guess that's the same way then. Even something like the Ninja Turtles, which is survived decades now as a very firmly planted child beloved IP. That was based off comic books that was very much for adults. You know, they were originally they all looked alike. They didn't have the letter of their name on their belts, and it wasn't supposed to be something for children. They were all supposed to, like, the point was supposed to be that they kind of blended in together, and it was because they were ninjas and assassins and they did terrible things to bad guys, but it was a
yeah.
very hardcore story. And somebody said we got to pivot this because we do want to market it to children. And we're throwing out ideas now, and my brain was just going in the idea of Violent Night, where it's like, oh, let's push and get as ridiculous as we can, because I personally would love to see a turkey just doing something egregiously awful to
To
somebody.
Santa.
And I think it would be interesting and funny to watch. That doesn't mean that by the time this project is done, that doesn't take a hard shift where maybe it is a feel good story and you tone a lot of that down and it's not so bad. And maybe Santa learns his lesson at the end and agrees that they should work together instead of being. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can turn this, and that's
This
part of the
is
writing
where,
process.
yeah, this is where another peek behind the curtain. This is where, because they're obviously, when you bring together a group of people, they're trying to hone in on a vision. And obviously, at this particular junction, my vision differs from Jason's vision. It's not that either one of our visions is a wrong vision, but typically what will happen in an instance like this, one of two things will happen. Either you as the collaborating group sort of have to go back a step and figure out, okay, like, what is the mission of this film, um or the studio, well, actually, one of three things will happen. So you can either take a back step and figure out what is the mission that we're trying to achieve and help guide the vision in that way. The studio will make a proclamation of, this is the film that we're making, fix the vision to fit that film.
Or if you're
Or
talking about
the
a
stu-
television series, the showrunner would just step in and say, "This is the direction we're going."
right, this is the direction we're going. Or they'll focus group the idea. So
Mm-hmm.
they will bring in a group of people that they believe are the target demographic, and they will test the idea. And in that way, you will gain insight on what direction to go. Obviously, we are not a studio, so one of those two latter options is probably not what we're going to do. We could maybe focus group by polling people on social media, which, I guess, if you have a particular feeling about which way this idea should go,
Let
let
us
us know in
know.
the comments. But
But if we
we
were
would
gonna,
probably have to go back a step and figure
and
out, like, let's
honestly,
get on the same page.
if we were legitimately trying to put this together to pitch to a studio, we would probably try to see if we even which path had a viable like a viable path to finishing. And to be honest with you, my idea is just absurd ideas, and there's always a way to connect those dots, but it might be a lot more challenging than the scenario you've laid out, Morgan, because there is more of like a overarching concept there where there's like a journey and more of a path for a story. So it could also be too that this is a very early in the process where we have all these ideas and we start saying, all right, well, if we go this route, where does that go from here? If we go this route, you fill in beats to your story, and you might hit a roadblock with one, And the other ones is like, hey, you know what? Could we finish this? Sure, but I also think that this can continue down much easier on this path. And sometimes those ideas get reallocated. So maybe let's say we were actually trying to write this and pitch it to a studio, and we felt like, hey, the crazy, gory, violent option that Jason's pitching is very difficult to do, and I don't know that we can actually take this to fruition right now. So let's focus on making it a feel good story, something that's children appropriate or whatever, and you run with it. And then down the road, we say, you know what, we have those ideas. Can we change this from a turkey to a, I don't know, anything else? And maybe it's not Santa Claus, but it is somebody different. And you take the premise and you figure out how to adapt it, and then it opens up the paths to finish the narrative, because now you haven't limited yourself to this one idea, and you just take the concept and say this can actually work better applied somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. All very true things, but I think that this is the beginning of a very good idea. I don't know.
I
Maybe
don't
I'm
know if
wrong.
I would call it
Maybe
good,
there's a
but it
maybe
was a
there's a
fun idea. I'll put
reason.
it that way.
Well, maybe there's a reason Thanksgiving movies don't exist. I think that this idea is possible, and maybe it's because I'm thinking about it in the same vein as Chicken Run. So, if you've never seen Chicken Run, it's claymation, it's absurdist in some regards, and I think it's fantastic. And I think if you framed it like that, I think it could
And I
work.
think that was what that was the key for me too. When you mentioned that, I could see that as well. So I would actually, if we were legitimately putting this together, I probably would pivot to start going down the route that you said, because that does seem like a good path for this type of story.
Maybe
And
we should
we'd have to
actually
see how it
put
goes.
together
But
a pitch deck and pitch it to whatever studio does Chicken Run and be like, here's an
I,
idea for your next movie.
I do think we should. I mean, I think if any of our listeners want to see or hear more of us kind of fleshing this idea out for some reason, maybe it's like a reoccurring Thanksgiving thing. Maybe this year, next year around this time, we take where we left off and push it a little bit further, and it's always like a back burner project that is just kind of weird and goofy. But
Or maybe in 3 years, you'll just happen to see Chicken Run Thanksgiving. Santa meets
there you
his
go.
end.
Do you want to do a quick trivia before we get out of here?
Sure. Do we have time?
I think we could do a quick one if you want to do a quick one.
All right. All right.
So I have a quiz here from Mental Floss. I'm going to bring it up here, and I think I can
Mental
share the
floss.
screen, and maybe we can put it on. Yeah. All right. So, question number one. Two women host their close friends for a dysfunctional Thanksgiving dinner in what 2020 movie? We're looking at A Walton's Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving,
Probably.
Turkey Day, Instant Family.
I mean, I haven't seen any of those, but also, I guess we have been proven very wrong in just this first question. There are at least four Thanksgiving movies.
That's true. And I've not heard of any of these.
I
So,
would guess
which one do you think it is?
Friendsgiving because it's two
That
close
was gonna
friends.
be
So
it's gonna be my guess too. All
yeah,
right. Does that
that
mean
was
it was
right.
right? I don't know. That was right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw there's a little check mark next to it when you clicked it.
Oh, okay. I'll pay more attention next time. All right. So, question number two: a boy's Thanksgiving is thrown for a loop when a girl invites herself and her friends to join his plans in what 1973 movie? A Charlie
That's
Brown
got to be
Thanksgiving,
Charles.
Holiday, Turkey Town, or Jack and Jill?
That's got to be Charlie Brown, doesn't it? 1973.
That does line up. That does line up with the timeline. I think I have seen Holiday, and that's a pretty recent movie. I don't know what Turkey Town or Jack and Jill is.
Me
Unless
either.
Jack and Jill's the Adam Sandler movie. Is that Adam Sandler movie?
I don't think so. It might be, but I'm
All
not
right.
sure.
So let's go Charlie Brown, because I think the year lines up. Heyo.
It is.
All right, a Philadelphia family gathers at a New York City apartment for Thanksgiving dinner in what 2021 movie? Dan in Real Life, Stuck in Love, Turkey Hollow, or The Humans?
Ooh,
The
I
only
haven't seen
movie I've
any
heard
of
of this is
these.
Dan in Real Life. I've not seen any either.
Also, I would like to point out that obviously, our cultural idea of a Thanksgiving movie is literally just a movie that happens to take place over Thanksgiving dinner.
I agree. I feel
Because
like,
that's
you know,
literally been all the
researching this
questions.
episode, researching this episode, I was trying to find Thanksgiving movies, and the stuff that people point to are very clearly not Thanksgiving movies. If it says the word Thanksgiving in it, people are like, it kind of counts. It's just not something people do much, I guess.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess Stuck in Love, but honestly, it could be any of these.
I, my official guess is Dan in Real Life only because it's the only one I've heard of, but we'll go Stuck in Love. Apparently, it was The
It was The
Humans.
Humans. Okay.
All right, a masked murderer targets a small town 1 year after a tragedy on Black Friday in what 2023 movie? Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Home for the Holidays. I've
I
heard
want to say
of two of these.
I've not heard of any of them. I've heard the title Thanksgiving, but I have no idea what the movie is about. Black Friday, I would assume, is about a crazy Black Friday sale, but I feel
That's
like
what
it
I'm
could
thinking too.
also be this. But I'm gonna err on the side of Thanksgiving.
Okay, so Thanksgiving, I believe, is about and actually maybe this is why my brain went the way it did when we were doing our thought experiment. I think that's about an evil turkey that just goes on a bloody murder rampage and
Oh,
terrorizes
really?
the town.
It's
I
like
think
Cocaine
so.
Bear.
Kind of. This one is more sinister, whereas it looks like it. I think it's done with like claymation or something. Where Cocaine Bear is just an actual bear that's just high on cocaine. That's a funny movie, actually. Thanksgiving, I believe, is an Eli Roth movie, and I can see this being a thing that he would do, and I do think it's relatively recent. But I agree, Black Friday seems like it makes the most sense given the premise. So let's go that route. Oh, it was
It
Thanksgiving.
was Thanksgiving. Interesting.
It was Thanksgiving. All right, two singles decide to be on each other's dates, or I'm sorry, decide to be each other's dates on the holidays to avoid awkward social situations in what 2020 movie? Holiday, Instant Family, Stuck in Love, The Myth of Fingerprints.
See, from the titles, because again, I haven't seen any of these, so I feel like it would be Instant Family. Because if it's like you just agreeing in order to avoid an awkward thing, I feel like that would be an Instant Family premise. It could also be Holiday, but Holiday feels like a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I think it is Holiday. The problem
Is
is, I
it?
think that, I mean, this says it's each other's dates on the holidays. It doesn't say Thanksgiving specifically.
Oh,
But
that's
I think
true.
it's Holiday, which I have seen Holiday, and I remember that two people meet on like a dating app or virtually first. I just don't think the movie was memorable enough for me to remember how it unfolds after that. But
Wow, what an
I'll go
insight into
whatever way
that
you want to
film.
go. Which way do you want to go?
I think it could
You
either
want
be
holiday?
Holiday or Instant Family.
All right,
So
we'll
if
go
you think
Holiday.
Holiday, we can go Holiday. It is Holiday.
It was
Okay.
Holiday. All right, I don't know what question we're on, but number next. Two turkeys travel back in time to stop their kind from becoming Thanksgiving dinner in what 2013 movie? Whatever it is, I'm going to watch that because if turkeys are going back
That
in
sounds
time, I'm
actually
already
pretty
interested.
great. That's got to be Turkey
That does
Town,
sound
though.
pretty great.
Or no, 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 no. That's got to be Freebird. That's got to be Freebirds.
Uh, I feel like Freebirds is a movie I've heard of that I don't think is it, but we'll go with it. You're right. I was wrong.
Yeah.
An unlikely pair navigates hectic holiday travel together in what 1987 movie? Grumpy Old Men, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Home for the Holidays, Dan in Real Life.
So if this is about two older guys, it's definitely grumpy old men. But since I don't know other than the premise that it's given us, I think it could be any of these, honestly. Um, you know what? I want to lean towards Grumpy Old Men because I'm starting to see that movie play out in my head, and it's probably nothing like what they're trying to point to, but I could see two like really annoyed, grumpy,
It's
elderly guys trying to navigate
uh
holiday travel.
so Grumpy Old Men, I believe, is the movie with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, and I think that they're neighbors, and it's like they're in a rivalry with each other. I think the
Okay.
answer here is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I have not seen that movie, but I do recall part of that has to be with like them trying to get home, and hence the Planes, Trains, Automobiles. They're doing whatever they can to get home. So I think it's that because I think that's also a late '80s movie.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, booyah.
Ah, he was right.
Okay. Parents welcome home. Parents welcome a new baby. Kids are sent to camp, and a new family member with an ulterior motive is introduced in what 1993 movie? Instant Family, The Oath, Adam's Family Values, or Turkey Hollow?
Probably Instant Family. This one's got to be Instant Family.
I am pretty sure this is Adam's Family Values because
Oh, is it really?
I believe so because there's like a woman that shows up. I haven't seen this in so long, but I was telling you, like people consider it a Thanksgiving movie because there's one scene that has to do with Thanksgiving. I think it's Adam's Family Values.
I don't know if this is about parents bringing home a new kid.
Yeah,
Wait,
because they
was that
had a
right?
baby in that one. It was right. It was Adam's Family Values. So they have
Oh.
a baby in that one, and Joan Cusack comes, and I don't remember if she's pretending to be a nanny, but she's secretly, or she's pretending to date Fester, and she's actually from some agency or something where they're trying to take the baby away from
See,
them. I
but my
think.
feeling is like, yes, if it has Thanksgiving in it, like if it's centered around a Thanksgiving dinner, then people will consider that a Thanksgiving movie. But I think that you're not giving enough credit to this Addams Family movie because I haven't seen it. But if that premise, which is that like a new baby comes home and they're trying to navigate family relationships, that makes it a Thanksgiving movie because Thanksgiving is supposed to be about appreciating your family, and a movie about navigating familial
Okay.
relationships, I
So
would actually argue that makes it Thanksgiving.
if a movie has all of that but takes place in February, is it a Thanksgiving movie?
Well, no, Thanksgiving is a just like a Christmas movie has to take place during winter or during the Christmas season, or it's not a Christmas movie. You would have to have all of those components plus taking place at Thanksgiving.
So let's see. What's that movie with The Rock? Is it Red One? That Christmas movie, and what's his
Yeah,
name plays. So
he
that
plays Santa
movie
Claus. Yeah,
that
yeah, he
movie
plays Santa
ends
Claus.
at Christmas time, but it takes place in the off season, but it's a Christmas movie. So like you can have a story about Christmas and
Well, it's
finding the
about
Christmas
Santa
magic.
though.
It is about
It's about
Santa,
Santa
but
though. Yeah, it's
sure.
about Santa, which is
But
the
you can take that
Christmas
out of the
mascot.
holiday season and it's still a Christmas movie. But I'm saying here, just because you have a family dynamic film, lots of
You
movies are
haven't.
family dynamic films,
I'm
but
confused though.
just
You
because it's
haven't taken it
happening,
out of the. You haven't taken it out of the Christmas season. I've not seen a quote unquote Christmas movie that you could remove Christmas from and it still be a Christmas movie. Like that's a
right?
central.
That's
That's a central part of it being a Christmas movie.
your argument at the beginning of this episode was that Christmas is not a season; it is a day. So if we're taking a movie
Yes.
where Santa Claus has an adventure in the middle of July, you are not having it
Which
on Christmas, but
which
it's still a
which
Christmas
there
movie
aren't.
because
If you
it is still
if you
about
made a movie if you made a movie like that, which I don't think exists, but if you made a movie about Santa Claus doing stuff in the off season, I would
yeah, like
actually
the Santa Claus. That's another example, right? I mean, it starts at Christmas and ends at Christmas, but in the middle, it's all about Tim Allen dealing with the changes
correct.
because now he's accidentally signed up to be Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So it takes place off of Christmas, but it's still a Christmas movie because it has the Christmas themes to it. The
If you
theme of
removed Christmas
Thanksgiving,
from it,
if you remove what I'm
if
saying
you
is
remove
that you're saying that
Christmas and
all of
Santa
this
Claus from the Santa Claus, then you would be
Mhm.
stripping it of its holiday factor.
you could do if you take just the middle part. What I'm saying, Santa Claus is training to be Santa Claus in the off season where you do not see Christmas on either side. It's still a
Yeah.
Christmas movie because it's still pertinent
Yes.
to
I
Christmas.
would I would make that argument as
What you're
well.
saying here is that because there's a family dynamic and you're navigating family relationships, that is something that you associate with
No.
Thanksgiving, so it's still a
I
Thanksgiving
think
movie.
no,
I'm saying
no,
that
no. I think that
that's
that's
not the same
no.
thing.
I think that family values are also central to Christmas. It is not a defining feature of Thanksgiving. The problem that you have with Thanksgiving, and probably why there aren't a lot of Thanksgiving movies, is because unlike Halloween or Easter or Christmas, Thanksgiving doesn't have a mascot. Unless you're going to be one of those people that argue that turkey is the mascot of Thanksgiving or pilgrims are the mascot of Thanksgiving. So, like, you can't make a movie about, like, the Thanksgiving pilgrim that takes place in
I'm
June and it be a
saying,
Thanksgiving movie. Like you've made the movie about Santa Claus, which is a
sure.
Christmas
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
figure.
But I'm saying that in order for it to be a Thanksgiving movie, the actual day of Thanksgiving would have to be involved somewhere. So the navigating family dynamics by itself could be anywhere. But if you're saying because now you're adding to the stress of a chaotic holiday because everyone's coming home from their various places on Thanksgiving for Thanksgiving, now you've made it a Thanksgiving movie. Or if there's some kind of issue that's preventing the family from, completing the 16-hour
Yeah.
process of cooking a turkey for the day, that's a Thanksgiving movie. Just the family dynamics can certainly contribute to a Thanksgiving movie, but do not exclusively make it a Thanksgiving movie unless it's tied to the actual day. That's my point.
Right,
So
but
when you're
yes,
saying I'm
but
not
your
giving fat,
argument the argument that you were making though was that the Addams Family movie is not a Thanksgiving movie simply because it
correct.
takes place during Thanksgiving. My argument is that the fact that there is a plot point in it or a plot progression in it that is not Thanksgiving centric, meaning it's not centric to the fact that the holiday of Thanksgiving is occurring and there are
Right.
other elements make it more so a Thanksgiving movie. Like I think that like you were saying that
I
people only
disagree.
consider it a Thanksgiving movie because it takes place during Thanksgiving, and I'm saying no, it's a Thanksgiving movie because it takes place on Thanksgiving, but also it tackles familial relationships, which is a central premise of Thanksgiving, which is to give thanks to your family and for the time that we have on this earth.
If they're all coming together because they're coming in town for Thanksgiving, then I'll give you that. But my point was they have one scene where they go to camp and she writes a scene from a Thanksgiving play as like a gag. That's the only Thanksgiving thing. Them just coming, like him inviting his new girlfriend over, not for the purpose of Thanksgiving. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering. It'd be one thing if it's like, hey, for Thanksgiving, I want you to meet my new girlfriend, and then you tackle all these family things. Then I would give you that. But this is just, hey, I have, my new girlfriend is coming. And then somewhere in the movie, when the kids go to camp, there is a reference to Thanksgiving. That is not the same thing to me.
Without having seen
Either
the
way, put it
movie,
in the
I
comments.
can't
Who do you
know.
agree with?
Yeah, let us know
Yeah,
what
I
makes
think
a
it's hard for you
Thanksgiving
to,
movie.
without seeing it. Yeah, we'll let the audience decide. All right, moving on. A married couple navigates political divisions in their family over the holidays in what 2018 movie? The Oath, Funny People, Sweet November, the Thanksgiving movie.
Uh, navigating political divide. I don't know. I haven't seen any of these. Flip a
I've
coin.
seen.
The Sweet November.
Sure, let's do that one. Sounds good to me. The Oath. Okay.
The Oath. Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
That's the first thing that I said.
a possessed turkey commits murders over Thanksgiving break in what 2008 movie? This has got to be
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. I think this is Thanksgiving. Because remember, I was even telling you before, like the turkey goes ballistic on a whole town. This has got to be it.
Yeah.
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 All right. So how did we do?
We got 70.
Seventy
What is that?
percent.
7 out of 10? Is
Hey.
that 7 out of 10?
Yeah.
I don't remember
It is
how many
seven
it
out of
was.
10.
Sweet
That's
though.
pretty good. I think we did better on that one than we did on many other ones. So, all right. Well, that was fun.
It's because it
Yeah.
was Thanksgiving
I think the
themed.
audience should tell us. I, if nothing else, Morgan, I am thankful for you. Thank you.
But yeah, let
No,
us
but
let us know.
yeah, let us know what you think makes a Thanksgiving movie. I'm curious where you align. And I'm probably wrong, to be completely honest with you, because this is my problem with the Die Hard thing, and people always give me a hard time about it.
Yeah.
So I have similar thoughts for Thanksgiving movies. I'm probably I'm probably on the side of being incorrect. But tell us what you think,
Well,
and if you
I
can think
don't.
of a good
Well,
Thanksgiving movie.
my last little 2 cents would be like, I don't think you're incorrect that if you removed the sort of Christmas, quote unquote, winter setting of Die Hard, you would have a very legitimate argument of being like, well, so then it's not a Christmas movie because there's literally nothing else that links it to Christmas. So I don't think that that's an invalid point. But yeah, let us know what you guys think. Does it have to have the holiday in it? Does it have to have some other thematic thing about it that makes it a holiday movie? Definitely would be
And if,
curious.
and if you want us to keep doing our thought experiment on our wacky Thanksgiving idea, let us know too. Maybe we'll revisit it in a future episode. If there's a ton of demand, maybe we'll make it. I don't know. Wouldn't
That'd
that
be
be
pretty
wild?
fun.
What if this podcast led to the world's greatest Thanksgiving movie by accident?
That would be crazy.
That would
Um,
be crazy.
but for now, that is a wrap on this week's The Backstage Banter. Um, what is it? Until next time, keep the film rolling, and we'll see you in the next scene.
That was pretty good. Not bad. Thanks everyone.